So in this video, we're going to be talking about how Boris Johnson lied to the Northern Irish, essentially, and to the country, arguably. Actually, yeah, I think you could argue that. So Boris Johnson privately conceded that there will be post-Brexit checks on goods crossing the Irish Sea to Great Britain, and Great Britain to goods crossing the Irish Sea. So that's from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. So in a letter to the Executive Office in Stormont, the government confirmed there would be border control posts in three ports: Belfast, Warrenpoint, and Larne. Declan Kearney, one of the two junior ministers in the Executive Office, the regional equivalent of the Cabinet Office in London, confirmed the details at a select committee session in Belfast on Wednesday. So this article is from last month, and it's important. This article. The Prime Minister agreed checks on goods entering Northern Ireland from Great Britain in a breakthrough meeting in Wirral with his Irish counterpart Leo Varadkar last October. So they agreed to this last October. However, he was then accused of misleading the public after he was recorded on video telling local businesses weeks later that there would be no checks. So what Boris has done is a classic politician's trick. He's done a classic politician's trick of promising one thing to one person and one thing to another person, and hoping he has enough time to appease the group that can do more damage to them, essentially. So if any businesses were asked to fill in any extra paperwork, should telephone the Prime Minister, and I will direct them to throw the form in the bin, he told them. And we'll go to the video in a minute for anyone who doesn't think this is true. So the Northern Irish Protocol is part of the withdrawal agreement signed in January after Johnson led the Conservative Party to an 80-seat majority in December. And this is the same agreement that Boris Johnson is claiming is unfair. So it will kick in next year whether there's a deal or not. So it's called, instead of a backstop, it's called a front stop, which basically instead of keeping the entire UK inside the EU because of Northern Ireland, what it does, it takes Northern Ireland out essentially of the UK trading wise, in a sense that there will have to be border checks between the Great British Isles, so Great Britain, so Scotland, England and Wales. You can see how bad I am at geography. Scotland, England, Wales and Northern Ireland, but there won't be any checks, I believe, between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. Hopefully I've got that right. It's pretty confusing. However, the UK would backslide on the deal, were fueled by the refusal of Johnson's government to allow the EU to open an office in Belfast to help implement and enforce the protocol. So basically, the EU asking for an office. Gove called it an embassy. Essentially, he goes, "Why does the EU need an embassy?" Which is smart wording wise, but at the same time, like you need an office to make sure everything's going well within Northern Ireland. That makes perfect sense. So Penny Mordaunt said, told the EU such a presence, so this office would be divisive in political and community terms. So she's talking absolute drivel. The Brexit deal is unpopular across the political spectrum in Northern Ireland because of the extra costs and bureaucracy it will entail for businesses. It's going to make businesses operating within Northern Ireland far more expensive. I think it said somewhere here about, there it is. So found that firms could incur costs of £100,000 per lorry unless special Brexit derogations were agreed. So what it means is that anything going from the UK, so from the British mainland into Northern Ireland, would be checked, and that's expensive. You check everything, live animals, where it's coming from and where it's going, and also goods going the other way. And so what that is very expensive, and so it's going to cause a lot of businesses to leave Northern Ireland purely because it won't be financially viable. So a cabinet spokesman said, "We have always been clear that there will be requirements for live animals and agriculture food, building on what already happens at ports like Larne and Belfast. We want to work with Northern Ireland businesses and the executive to ensure new admin procedures are streamlined and efficient. The protocol puts legal obligations on both sides. We are committed to complying with ours, just as we expect the EU to comply with theirs." And so what we can tell is Boris Johnson lied to people about border checks. So here he's had to admit that there will be border checks. But if we go to this video, hopefully the audio is fine. Hopefully, because the audio on this video is not great anyways.
One question. One question. Can I go back to my company in the morning and tell my staff we will not be filling in any customs declarations for goods leaving Northern Ireland to go to GB? You can.
Okay. Okay, so the question was, can I go back to my staff and tell them that there will be no no border checks on products going from Great Britain to Northern Ireland? Okay, I think that was that was the way he worded it, or it'd be vice versa from Northern Ireland to Great Britain. It doesn't matter which way you put it.
That's not what everybody believes, by the way.
You can.
But I can.
You can. And you will absolutely not have. And if somebody asked you to do that,
I do wonder, did Boris know he was on camera?
tell them to ring up the Prime Minister, and I will direct them to throw that form in the bin.
Because Steve Harvey said we would.
No.
That's the problem.
What do you export from Northern? Do you export illegal weapons or endangered species?
We export a lot of small 50-pound, 100-pound shipments to pharmacies. We do medical diagnostics.
You're right.
I think he said he shipped something to pharmacies, but I'm not sure.
We cannot afford to increase the costs on small shipments. It's not feasible.
You're not going to, there will be no forms, no checks, no barriers of any kind. You will have unfettered access.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Okay, so there's a video of Boris Johnson. There's video of Boris Johnson saying categorically there will be no checks. And if we jump to this article, we know there will be checks. And we go to this article, which is from only 5 days ago, where Northern Ireland businesses desperately need sea border details. So they need to know what the hell is going on. So business groups in Northern Ireland say they desperately need more detail on how the new Irish sea border will work. It is due to begin operating. In January, when the Brexit transition period ends. It will involve new checks and for on goods entering Northern Ireland and GB, but the precise details are still being negotiated by the UK and the EU. So Northern Ireland's been taken out of the equation in the sense of they're not going to get a lot of say over this, that's for sure. The UK government has proposed a light touch approach with no new customs infrastructure. That's something that will have to happen because things will have to be checked, so infrastructure will have to be put in place. So that's a myth. And so, look, while the ambitions of the UK government are laudable, so this is from the Northern Ireland Business Brexit Working Group, God, the NIBBWG, Jesus Christ, you could have done so much better than that. While the ambitions of the UK government are laudable, there's still a need for technical detail to allow businesses to prepare for the changes that will come into force on January 1st, 2021. And so we can see that, look, they have no idea still what's going on. 7-day week. So it comes as Stormont officials warn that they have less than 3 weeks to finalise plans for facilities to check goods. Plans for extended facilities at ports and airports must be approved by the European Commission. So essentially the EU have to confirm that everything's okay border check wise. Northern Ireland's chief vet Robert Huey said in order for the approvals to be in place by the end of the transition period, the application would need to be completed by by 23rd of June 2020. So what he's saying is that in order for the approval to be in place of everything by the end of the transition period, to make sure everything's in place for basically next year, they have to get the application in, 13 days. So this video will go out on the Friday. So by the time this video comes out, they're going to have about 11 days to finalise everything. That's simply not going to happen. Stormont's Agriculture and Environment Committee was told that detailed planning work had only started on the 27th of May. So this is literally like writing your dissertation in the space of a month. Imagine the day after the UK government published its view on how the Northern Ireland Protocol would work. Meetings have now been published in the 27th. This is embarrassing. Meetings have been held with Larne, Belfast and Warren Point, Foyle and the 2 other main airports, with officials working 7 days a week on the plans. And we can see here that this thing's entirely been a joke. I don't know if Boris thought that there wouldn't be any checks, or if Boris knew at the time there would have to be checks and he just lied to people. So I think that will wrap this one up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.